Hello and welcome back to another edition of On a Roll with your host, Kerwin Brown. And today we get to talk to Sarah Tsocanos, who is a senior research scientist at Campbell Snacks.
Correct.
So welcome, Sarah. It's great to have you. So I've known Sarah for a long time, and we'll get into that later on. But we start these with a little this or that. So I'll name some things, and you say your favorite. So
got it.
Donuts or bagels?
Donuts.
Okay, I like that answer. Cupcakes or Bundt cakes?
Bundt cakes.
Okay, another good answer. Sweet cereal or healthy cereal?
Healthy that has sweet components.
Okay, I like that. That's good. French fries or tater tots?
Ooh, tater tots.
You're about to make a physical move, and so Sheetz or Wawa?
Wawa, I think, is what it will be.
It will be.
Yes.
You'll be going towards that. And if you're from the Northeast, you know what that means. Favorite baked good?
Cinnamon roll or brownie?
Okay. And then guilty pleasure. You know, you've been traveling for a week or two. You get home, you're like, oh, I just can't wait to have a...
Food-wise?
Yeah.
Rise Donut in Wilton, Connecticut.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, I love that.
Gotta go.
Very specific.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to talk a little bit of path to baking. So, you went to K-State. I wore purple today in honor of K-State. So you didn't come from a family of bakers. A little bit of baking, I think, with mom and grandma. So tell us a little bit. You're in high school. You're thinking about what you want to do in life, and how'd you get to baking?
Yeah, so I think for my whole childhood, even into high school up to my junior year, I wanted to be a teacher. That's the path I thought I was going to go. And I was ready to pursue a teaching degree, looking at schools that had great education programs. And then I did do a ton of baking with my mom and grandmother, and I just really, really loved that. And I actually thought about being some sort of baking educator. Mm-hmm. So I even tried to make that leap, and wanted to figure out what I could do with baking, and knew I didn't want to go to culinary school regardless. I didn't want to do fancy wedding cakes. I didn't want to do patisserie. I liked the science. I liked looking in the oven, like through the oven door, seeing the cookies rise and the cake rise and the bread rise. And I honestly just Googled, used the old Google machine, and tried to find what I could do that would marry my love of science with my love of baking.
Right.
And the K-State Grain Science program popped up.
Right.
So I literally clicked the button, asked for more information. I got my packet in the mail, and it ended up being the only school I applied to, and where I went and got my degree.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So knew you back then. I was involved with the K-State, advisory board at the time, so had some involvement there. So saw your, and you got this opportunity to do a 6-month internship at Pepperidge Farm at the time, and which was, they only chose one student to do that, so you got to do that. So that was a big break, I got, for you to get to do that. So tell us a little bit about what you did there. So
yeah, it was a super competitive internship, like you mentioned, because all the other internships for the most part for baking are 2 or 3 month summer internships. So super competitive, and I was selected to work in Norwalk in the fall of 2013. And at that time, our structure was, we essentially had an innovation team for every business unit. So I was a part of the fresh bakery innovation team for 6 months, and got to work on a ton of different new products, some that did see the light of day, some that didn't. Got to be a part of consumer studies, go to the plants, work with guys who had more industry experience than I did years of life, which I think is just super cool, especially to get to have that experience at my age, like still doing school. So fantastic experience. Yeah.
So then you went back to school, and then back out and got a job. So you have definitely a history with Goldfish. So we're going to tell us a little bit about Goldfish, and then in a second we're going to try some Goldfish. I don't know back then how many Goldfish you had 10 years ago, but it seems like I went to buy these the other day, and there's a wall of Goldfish now.
Yeah, I'm sure you had your choice.
Yeah, a lot of choices. So tell us a little bit about you and Goldfish.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, my internship was in fresh bakery. When I joined the organization full time, I also started on the fresh bakery business on what we would call the base team, so working on core items. And I was on that team for about 2 years, and then I moved over to the Goldfish team, and just recently transitioned over to cookies. So I've spent most of my tenure with the organization on Goldfish, and have really become one of the legacy technical people within Goldfish, as in we're starting up another new Goldfish line in Richmond, Utah, and I'll get to go out and support for that. So I've been fortunate to work on both the savory items and the sweet items. I know we were saying a lot of folks actually don't know that we have Goldfish grams that are like a rotary cookie, essentially, just under the Goldfish name. But within my role within Goldfish and all the other brands that I've worked on, we do get to work on everything from the bench all the way through commercialization, and then additionally get to have that face time, that exposure, that opportunity to champion our products with leadership, with marketing. So it's a pretty unique way they structure the role within Campbell. So
kind of own that Goldfish.
You completely own it. You completely own the Goldfish from start to finish. They're your baby. So we're not just stuck in the lab or stuck in the plant. We get to do both sides of the project.
And then at the end, you get to see it being made, and millions of them, being made. So, all right, let's try some Goldfish. So, we're going to start with whole grain because just nutritional. I'm sure we're
of course.
And then we're going to just wonderful. They're just sort of a basic Goldfish. And then we're going to go to some crazy Goldfish, extra cheesy pizza.
Yes.
So. So let's say the crazy marketing people come up with, we need a crazy cheesy, extra cheesy pizza, Goldfish. What does that look like for your job?
So it usually is about as much information as what you just shared, right? Some realm of...
Right. Crazy cheesy.
Crazy cheesy. We have this idea. There's a gap in the market.
That's wonderful.
So this is actually one that I've worked on over the years.
Okay.
So so I'm happy to hear you're pleased with it. So they'll come to us with this framework, this skeleton of an idea, and then we honestly take it and run with it in the sense of we get in any and all unique materials that we think could fit in the scope of that project, and work on the bench, as we say. So you just have a table of various types of cheese and seasonings and tomato paste and really just get to play. And so you have a design of experiments, more or less, and once you're able to find something that you think has merit, you're able to take those final 2, 3, 4 iterations and put them in front of not only your peers to kind of validate your thinking, but then bring that to marketing and see what they think and get their buy-in. So
that's great. And then you were talking about, okay, now we're going to try Parmesan.
Love it.
So some. The cheddar jalapeno has a little bit of a bite to it. I like it. Has a nice little, I don't know how many kind of products you have that have a little bit of a bite to them, but.
So the megabytes were meant to be letting kids kind of age up with Goldfish a bit. So you think about your teenagers, your college kids. Maybe they're not super comfortable having a bag of just regular cheddar Goldfish. They want something a little bit bigger.
Because the 3-year-olds have them or 2-year-olds have them.
They don't want to share snacks with their little siblings.
Yeah.
So like from a size standpoint, a flavor standpoint, that was kind of the initial thinking is for that product to be able to age up with kids who grew up with Goldfish. So bigger, bolder flavor with that little bit of bite.
And nice flavor.
Yeah.
And then had no idea that we could have dessert as well with a Goldfish, but now we have dessert. So this is a vanilla cupcake.
Yeah.
And you said I haven't tried them yet, but you said they were fairly yummy. So
they're very good. Yep.
I think you used the word crack.
I did. I wasn't sure if we're legally allowed to say that, but we do refer to them as crack.
Wow. Yeah.
And I feel like you're seeing what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We might be eating the rest of those soon. Sometimes I like to also kind of share some kind of funny stories, or you've been in a lot of plants and a lot of late nights and overnights and stuff like that. So you got a funny or challenging story for us to?
Yeah, I think there's so many little stories, but I was thinking about one that was actually it was my first product launch start to finish. So completely from like brand ideation all the way to commercialization. And I did a chocolate banana swirl bread. So we had like real banana puree in the dough. We had a chocolate swirl. And I remember starting that bread up in Downers Grove, Illinois. And I remember we were running on Night Owl, of course. And I had to get samples to the brand team the following day. And it just so happened that we had to run on Night Owl. That was the only shift available for us to squeak this in. Could move the meeting with marketing the next day. So I needed to make food in Illinois on night owl shift and get food to Connecticut the following day for them to review. So I remember I had to, you're kind of hand picking the loaf. You want the best product to bring back, and you're gonna have to hand carry it on the plane, which we do all the time. But I had to hand pull that loaf. I took a baby nap on the couch in the bathroom of that facility. So that facility is definitely very much set up for those mid-shift breaks. And then I caught my plane right after my nap. So I just went straight from the plant, post-nap. I had 2 loaves in my backpack and in my hands, and drove straight from the airport to the office, and then walked right in the door to the meeting.
Wow.
So picked the closest conference room to the front door so I could walk right into the meeting. And it was seamless and it was flawless and no issues whatsoever. But that happens a lot, right? It's like you're just there to kind of deliver the best food possible when you need to deliver it. So
I thought you were going to tell me that you got attacked on the plane and people ate one of the loaves or something like that.
You do have to fight people off, though, when you have branded product with you.
That smells really good.
You really do,
I need a snack. You are married to Anthony, and you're both in the baking industry. So, that's a little bit of a unique deal. So you met at Pepperidge. So I wanted to ask, you're at dinner or you have some work time at home. What is that like when you're, are you talking shop all the time or not talking shop, or how does that work? So
yeah, you definitely overall have to be very cognizant of it, and sometimes you have to kind of raise the hand and say, that's okay, we'll talk about this tomorrow during business hours. But I was saying earlier, during COVID, everyone working from home, and even now that more or less folks are in a bit of a hybrid environment, or you have the luxury to be in a hybrid environment. And Anthony works remote, and so when I'm working from home, we live in an apartment, it's close quarters. We're about 10, 12 feet away from each other at most, both on conference calls, and even if you can only hear the one side of the conversation, frequently, we both hear something where we're like, oh, I can help. I hear the problem, I can help. It's hydration, or I have this ingredient, or have you talked to this person? So that happens all the time. And it's usually super positive, right? We can help each other and support each other and truly empathize with each other because we know what we're going through. So. That's awesome. Yeah. So, Sarah, you have been making product, commercializing product for a while, and you saw a lot of extras, of this product. So tell us about you and a friend came up with really a creative idea. So So Campbell's as a whole has a really wonderful community affairs chapter that's been around for many years, and they do a ton of philanthropic work in all the communities where Campbell's is represented. But one piece that was missing was like a formalized program for donating excess food. So the plants have a much better structure than the corporate locations just because of the nature of their business and operation, how they're managing inventory. But for us at Pepperidge Farm in Norwalk, we had a ton of excess food, great quality food, saleable food, left over from R&D and quality testing and work that's just inherent to the nature of commercialization. It was too much to give away to internal employees and would just inevitably go to waste if we couldn't find a home for it. So my friend and I, we formalized a program, and we were able to champion our leadership to vet a handful of community partners within not only Norwalk, where Pepperidge Farm is based, but in the broader Fairfield County area that support the area with where there's really food insecurity, which is super prevalent in Norwalk. So we have a handful of core partners where we can call at the drop of a hat and tell them that we have 2 pallets of Goldfish. Can you come bring the box truck and pick them up? And I think I mentioned earlier, in the first year of formalizing the program, we were able to rescue about 200,000 units of food. So that would have otherwise gone to waste. So it's a wonderful program, and we've been able to kind of help some of the other headquarter facilities formalize their program based on the learnings we've had and the structure we've created. So.
No, that's awesome. And you guys have a product that's just happy. I mean, it's a Goldfish or it's a Milano or whatever. I mean, that all just brings total happiness to people. So
absolutely.
And kind of end with sort of you've stayed involved with K-State. You actually help promote the program, and I think you work in high schools and all that, trying to really promote that program. Some mentoring, either at Campbell or out in the industry. So talk about, maybe what you're doing and why would you do that? So.
Yeah, try to never pass up an opportunity when asked to be able to mentor and support, whether it's formalized or informally. You know, folks who are just starting out in their careers, who are new to Campbell's themselves, who are new to the baking industry. So I have done some of what you're referencing where, you know, there's a bit of a grassroots effort with graduates from the bakery science program going into schools, doing Zoom calls with schools, trying to champion the grain science department and the bakery science program. Within Campbell's itself, because of our consolidation of headquarters and kind of bringing everyone under one roof, we've had folks who were not able to make that move, and we've had a lot of new talent coming into the organization that really warrants that that informal mentorship and kind of bringing them under your wing. So I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do that with a lot of my now peers and kind of bring them into the Campbell family. And then just within the baking industry as a whole, again, super fortunate that I'm 10 years into my formal career in the industry, but I feel like I've been in it for 15, right? Because I've been coming to industry events and being a part of the industry all throughout my undergrad career in K-State. So it's really exciting to get to talk to folks who it's their first time at a convention, at a conference, at a trade show, and get to be able to walk them around and introduce them to folks that I've met over the years. So.
That's awesome. What do you, if you had one word to say to them about, you know, charging them with their career or advice, what would you give a young student or a intern or something like that? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I don't even know if there's one word that sums it up, but I think I always go back to the baking industry is super special, and I think you hear everyone say that, and then once you're in it, you get it. I was actually listening to Wendy's interview with you from last convention. I know she touches on that as far as her taking a step out of the industry for a little bit and really wanting to come back to it because she felt that gap and she missed it. And the baking industry, there's always a home for you. There's always people looking out for you, and that's not the case in every industry. Very family oriented. And I think it's because it's centered around food that people love. It's centered around food that is going to be on everyone's table, at every meal, at every snack time. So how could that not be inherent to the fabric and the framework of the industry and everything we do when we get to work on such special food and products? So
they just bring, like I said, bring joy. So
absolutely.
So thank you very much, Sarah, for being a part of the podcast, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.